One of the coolest things about 2018 is we've seen a lot of laptops that have been really amazing. And one of them I kind of forgot about, the Yoga C930. It's been sitting on my floor for a few weeks and I finally got around to playing with it. Today I'll tell you why it may be one of the best laptops of the year. Stay tuned. Before we get started, I just want to point out we actually did review this laptop a while ago on windowscentral.com, so you can go read that. I'm not going to really go through all the benchmarks and all the stuff there. If you want that information, go read that review. But let me tell you why I actually think this is actually a real impressive laptop. And we actually have the 4K version now too, so I'm going to share with you the benefits and pros and cons of that one. Taking a look at the design of the Yoga C930, and Lenovo has done a lot of changes to it. And I find this design really interesting. It's at once muted, a bit conservative, and very minimalist, but it's also very interesting too. So I don't think it's as ambitious as, say, the Spectre or something from Dell, but it's also kind of nice looking. So you can see the nice gunmetal finish here, the nice Yoga logo, all very clean, minimalist, no other designs or layers. You don't even see any antenna markings, which is kind of nice. Turn to the left-hand side, and this is where you find all the ports. So you have a USB Type-A for your legacy connections and two USB Type-C 3.1. These are actually full Thunderbolt 3 ports, and for those looking for specificity, yes, it is for PCIe lanes, so you can use these with an external GPU if you want. It's also used for charging the device, and you get a nice little LED there. And finally, you do get a headphone jack. To the right-hand side of the device, you do get a power button with LED. And I should also mention here, this is where the antenna lines are for the system. This is very much like the Surface laptop design, and it's actually kind of nice instead of building it into the back of the display. Normally, the bottom of a laptop is not very exciting, but this one's actually really interesting because of what it doesn't have. So look how clean this is. You do have the screws here. This is removable. The only thing you could swap out in this device, by the way, is the storage, so the SSD. Everything else is soldered to the board, so that's about it. But what's really cool about this is there's no venting on this device, at least not on the bottom. So normally you would have vents for the fans here. This is a fan system though, so I'm not saying it's fanless. In fact, it has two fans, one here and one here in the system, and they pull in through the hinge area and then vent out through the center. The CPU and GPU are gonna be located here, so it actually works pretty well. The bottom of this device never actually gets hot. It gets a little bit warm if you're doing a Windows update, but the ventilation and thermals on this device are actually excellent. Now the back of the device is actually where all the magic happens. So this is the new sound bar hinge that they use. So they replaced the watch band, and this is actually just a beautiful design. I think this looks phenomenal. And the beauty of this system is the fact that the sound now, which is Dolby Atmos, can play in all the positions. Don't forget, this is a Yoga device, so you'll change positions, and the speaker basically follows that. It's pretty clever. I should also point out something that's really interesting, which is now there's a pen built into the system. So they're copying the ThinkPad X1 Yoga here. You press it and you get the pen that comes out. This is a fully rechargeable one, so when you stick it in that system, it charges up. It's a small pen, but if you don't want to use it, that's fine. You can use Lenovo's more premium pen, or you can use the Wacom Bamboo ink, which I actually prefer if you're going to be drawing. This is actually a really good inking system too. It is a Wacom AES 2.0. It's actually one of the best out there. I actually prefer Wacom over Surface Intrig, but that's me. I think it's a very good system. But this is really made for people who want to ink on occasion and not necessarily draw all the time, and I think it's a pretty clever design. That is a little of a pain to pull out that pen though, so just keep that in mind, but hey, it's better than nothing. Taking a look at the display here, and there's a lot to talk about. So very thin bezels, not quite as thin as Dell's XPS systems, but pretty close to it, at least on three sides. You still get that big chin on the bottom. Lenovo is one of the few companies that have not moved yet to a more symmetrical system. It is what it is. I think because it's black, it blends in and it's all right, but I know some of you are gonna have strong opinions on that. Now, at the top here, you do get a 720p camera, not full HD, which is, you know, something Lenovo doesn't have very good front-facing cameras, I'll just say it, and that doesn't change here. You do, though, get a privacy cam, which is their new thing that they're kind of pushing. It's just a little slider that you can physically slide over, and you'll see that red dot pop up, and it'll let you know that web camera is blocked. I guess people like this. I find this solution just kind of chintzy. It's not my favorite out there. I think HP's solution where they have a button kills it is actually a little bit better. Now the display gets real interesting. This is a full HD model. There is a 4K one too, which we'll show you in a few minutes here. But let's talk about the full HD version, as I think most people look at this. It's a pretty good display. It's 13.9 inch, and I think that's really interesting. So it's basically 14 inch. Most laptops of this class are 13.3 inches. So you're getting a slightly larger display, and I really appreciate that. I think 14 inches is actually the perfect size. It is 16:9. I think many of you would prefer 3:2, but it is what it is. The display is really nice. It's, like I said, full HD. It is obviously touch. You can use inking on it. The brightness on it is all right. It's just around 300 nits. It's not the brightest display, but it's one of those, when you set it to max, it's fine for indoor usage. You'll be very happy. It'll struggle a bit outdoors, but this display doesn't set the standard for anything. It's like merely an okay display. Contrast is a little bit below what I would prefer. Color accuracy is okay with it as well. I don't mind using it though. That's what's really important. It's also easy on the eyes. I found just using it very good. It's also pretty sharp. And I say that because I do have the 4K version, and I don't find the 4K version all that much better. I mean, it is, but it's also not a huge dramatic difference. All right, looking at the keyboard deck here, and Lenovo is still doing this little cool thing here with the secondary hinge. I actually really like this design instead of putting it on the display, so I'm okay with their logo being there. And they do have the Dolby Atmos logo, which again is very subtle, and I think it just looks very clean and minimalist. All right, the keyboard has 1.3 millimeters of travel, which is pretty good. It's a little shallow, but it ain't too bad. Typical Smile key design from Lenovo. Very good typing experience. Actually, it's one of the things that sold me on using this device is typing on it is just very good. For backlighting, you do get two-stage backlight using the function key and spacebar. Typical Lenovo design here. Now for Windows Hello, you do get a fingerprint reader. There is no facial recognition. Like I said, that's kind of a bummer. The fingerprint reader is okay though. It gets the job done, and I had no issues with it for logging in and accuracy. All right, trackpad, always the touchy point for me. This is actually full precision drivers, glass design, pretty good clicking too. I don't necessarily love the way it clicks back, but it feels very nice, and it's a very smooth trackpad. I actually do really enjoy using it, so Lenovo did a good job there. All right, let's talk a little bit about this 4K model. So as far as I know, only Best Buy is selling this. Even if you go to Lenovo.com, you can order this one. This is a slightly different color. It's like a champagne gold. I think they call it something else, but whatever. It's actually pretty nice looking. It's definitely a lot more premium looking, in my opinion, although I think many of you will prefer the dark mode. And I kind of agree with that to a certain extent, but I think it looks pretty fancy. All right, take a look here at the 4K version. So this is a very good display. It gets around 98% sRGB and 78% Adobe RGB, which is pretty solid. Brightness is around 370 nits, so this is brighter and has better contrast than the full HD model, but I'll be honest, this is not an outstanding display. It's very good. I enjoy using it, but it doesn't push the boundary forward at all. By comparison, Dell's XPS IGZO display is just way better, but I think this is a nice step up. I just wish Lenovo had used the same panel that they do in the ThinkPad X1 Yoga, which was outstanding. This is Dolby Vision, which sounds really amazing. I can't really tell you though what the difference is here with this one. Movies look okay to me. I don't even find this picture mode does anything, so it's all a little bit confusing, but you know, if you want the 4K version, go for it. Let's talk about the specifications for a processor. So this has a Core i7-8550U, which is pretty good. It's a quad-core processor. And compared to things like the HP Spectre and Dell XPS 13 and all those, this actually outperforms them. It doesn't beat it by a lot, but it does beat it. So Lenovo did a very good job here with the device. Now, there is no GPU on this, or at least no NVIDIA GPU, I should say. It does use Intel UHD or HD620, which is an okay thing, but if you're looking for gaming, these are not going to be your laptops, obviously. As I mentioned earlier, you can use an external GPU with this, so you can use it for gaming in that sense at least, but if you're going to take this on the go with you, probably not the best choice for gaming. That's unfortunate. I would love to have seen an MX150 at least thrown in there, but we don't get that option. For RAM, it starts off at 8 gigabytes and goes up to 16 in the 4K model. The Best Buy model also has 12 gigs of RAM, which is kind of weird, but kind of nice. I actually like having 12 gigs of RAM. It's really that nice middle thing. Now, as I mentioned, the RAM is soldered to the board, so you can't upgrade it, so make sure you order the one you want. Now, storage goes up to 2 terabytes, which is kind of nice. It is PCIe NVMe. Gets very good performance as well. We're talking nearing 3,000 for reads and around 1,400 for writes, which is pretty solid, at least in a 500 gig model, so pretty happy with the performance there. Now it comes down to battery life. Well, it depends on which version you get, Full HD or 4K. So these both have a 60 watt hour battery, which is actually down from the original Yoga 920, but it's still actually very good battery life. In fact, it's one of the reasons why I'm kind of calling this one of the best laptops of 2018. The Full HD model can push 8 or 9 hours easily if you really put it to battery saver, maybe even 10 hours, but it's very good battery life. The 4K model does take a hit in battery life, but again, I find it acceptable. I'm getting around 7 hours so far, which is right at that point where it's like, it's kind of good enough. Mind you, 4K, 16 gigs of RAM, a Core i7 quad-core processor, I'll take 7 hours. This does have USB fast charge as well with a 65 watt charger in the bag, so it's very good for that. Overall, I'm actually really happy with the battery life on these devices. I think it's some of the best in its class. Okay, let's bring it all in. So the Yoga C930, why it's one of my favorite laptops of the year? Well, it gets almost everything right. The display, well, it's very good. It's not the best. I wish it could have done a little bit better here in the display, but I think most of you are gonna find it just to be a really good display. It is glossy, and I do wish the contrast is better, but it's still pretty good. Everything else though, when it comes to typing, the trackpad, the inking experience, the foldability of this device, it's just really, really good. The build quality is also excellent, and that translates into a slightly heavier weight. So this is around 3 pounds or 1.36 kilograms. Most laptops in this class are around 2.6 or 2.7 pounds. So yeah, it's a little bit heavier, but you are getting a larger display, and I think the trade-off is worth it. The real selling point here is going to be that sound bar. It is just absolutely phenomenal. That sound bar houses around 2 tweeters for the Dolby Atmos system, and on the bottom of the device there are 2 subwoofers for the mids and lows, and the system just works very well. If you're going to use this to watch a lot of media, movies, TV, and all that kind of stuff, well, between this and the really good display, it's going to be a really good experience. In fact, everybody who I showed it to just really appreciated how that sound just really blasts at your face. I think it's a really clever design too that Lenovo did here. While some manufacturers are still putting speakers on the bottom, well, they just kind of blown everyone away with this. So I think it's just a really good design. And rounding out the perfections of this device, the performance is very good. I do wish I had a built-in GPU, but hey, it is what it is. And overall, the battery life is better than expected as well. So I think if you're looking for the all-around best 2-in-1 of 2018, I gotta really give it to Lenovo here with the Yoga C930. I think it's just an excellent device, and the pricing ain't too bad either. It starts around $1,100 or $1,200 for that Core i7 model, Full HD with 12 gigs of RAM. And you can go up to around $1,700 for a 4K model with 16 gigs of RAM and 500 gigs of storage. That's not cheap, but at the same time, considering how premium I feel like this device feels, I think it's actually worth it for its price. All right, so there are some quick thoughts on the Yoga C930. Now, if you want more information about this, head to Windows Central where we have our full written review. If you have any questions about it, let me know what you think in comments, including which color you prefer, although I think most of you will prefer that darker version. If you like this video, give us a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe. Thanks for watching. Take care, everyone.